Why do you think people love Caitlyn Clark besides her skills?
She can shoot threes from logo.
We never seen that before. That's my point. Steph Curry, a little kid. Like Steph Curry, I love. You know why I love Steph Curry? Because I've never seen that before.
Shaq just shattered the WNBA's comfort zone, calling out Angel Reese on her own podcast and sparking a firestorm.
This is such a heated debate.
Now people don't even watch the game.
Because I don't want to use the B word. It's like you're watching like a high school game.
When Shaq suggested lowering the rims to bring some action to the WNBA, Angel couldn't handle it, calling his idea disrespectful.
People always disrespect women regardless. They're always going to not give us the same value as a man. So I just don't even think that.
And that's why you got to do what you've been doing.
But Shaq didn't stop there. Right to Reese's face, he dropped a truth bomb comparing WNBA games to high school ball. And then he took it up a notch, turning the spotlight onto Caitlyn Clark.
Unless it's certain people playing, it's like you're watching like a high school game. Our game is different because we do all the stuff.
Praising her as a once-in-a-generation talent, a shooter on par with Steph Curry, and calling her the truth. Reese looked like she'd been hit, realizing she wasn't the star Shaq was gushing over. In this showdown of talent versus entitlement, Shaq just made it clear.
I totally agree with Shaq here because Steph Curry changed the game, and Steph Curry had a crazy influence on basketball from youth basketball all the way to the NBA.
I've never seen that before. I've seen it a little bit. He's doing stuff that people never seen before. She's doing stuff we've never seen before.
Caitlyn Clark's rewriting the game while her rivals, like Reese, are left scrambling to keep up. Let's dive into what really went down on Angel Reese's podcast, where Shaq lit up the WNBA's biggest critics and laid out his vision for the league.
Caitlyn Clark has been the best thing, the most dominant thing to happen to the WNBA ever.
Shaq, an NBA legend with a history of marketing brilliance, didn't hold back when he suggested the WNBA needed to change. His solution? Lower the rims, just enough to bring in some high-flying, dunk-filled action.
Shaq actually kicks this off by praising Caitlyn Clark and saying that her game is something that he hasn't seen, and that kind of parlays into him talking about.
He argued that it would pull in viewers who want to see intensity, just like in the men's game. But Angel Reese was quick to reject the idea, calling it an insult to women's sports. Shaq fired back, saying, "It's not about disrespect, it's about making the game watchable."
It is scientifically proven that women do not have as much natural athleticism, strength, quickness as the men do, and that is okay.
And then he dropped the line that shook women's basketball. Shaq openly compared WNBA games to high school play. For a league striving for respect and viewership, this comment hit like a sledgehammer.
Basically saying Caitlyn Clark is not responsible for all of this and we shouldn't pretend like she is. But she keeps neglecting to realize that the reason the league is up as a whole are because Caitlyn Clark entered the league.
This is the stupidest thing I have seen.
But Shaq wasn't backing down. He knew that without some serious changes, the WNBA might continue to struggle in drawing big audiences. Shaq's words exposed what many have been thinking, but not saying.
When you watch Caitlyn Clark play, you're seeing somebody different. You're seeing somebody like Steph Curry.
There's a missing spark, and without it, the league will stay in the shadow of the NBA. Then came the real twist. Shaq didn't just criticize, he highlighted exactly what a true game changer looked like by talking about Caitlyn Clark. Right there, in front of Reese, Shaq started to rave about Clark's incredible skill, comparing her three-point range to Steph Curry's, and calling her the best female player he'd ever seen. Reese sat there, visibly tense, as Shaq made it clear that Clark's talent and groundbreaking stats are raising the bar for everyone. It was a clear statement.
I think Caitlyn Clark is doing the right thing, rising above all of the crap that she's had to endure. The amount of fouls committed on Caitlyn Clark higher than any other player, flagrant fouls committed on Caitlyn Clark higher than any other player. Caitlyn Clark was worried about playing the game, and that is why she got Rookie of the Year. She was not worried about the BS.
Caitlyn Clark is redefining the game, and players like Reese and Wilson might not be ready for her level of excellence.
There is nobody interesting in the WNBA past or present except for Caitlyn Clark. They've all shown themselves to be sexist, racist, petty, ridiculous.
Shaq didn't stop with just praise for Clark's skills. He made a point that left Reese visibly uncomfortable. He talked about how Clark's game, her long-range threes, her precision, her ability to energize the crowd was what the WNBA desperately needed to bring in fans.
The ratings were phenomenal because of Caitlyn Clark. She didn't want to take credit for all of those ratings, but we all realize that Caitlyn Clark single-handedly is responsible for the WNBA mattering.
Shaq described Clark as the truth, a player whose impact on the court is unmatched, forcing defenses to change their entire strategy just to keep up, and he didn't sugarcoat it. Players like Angel Reese weren't living up to that hype, and he hinted that without a shift in the WNBA, stars like Clark would continue to outshine everyone else.
That idiot Angel Reese is trying so hard to latch on to Caitlyn Clark by being the heel and then crying about it. You all did this. You all called her a white bitch constantly. You all did this.
In a league that's struggling for recognition, Shaq made it clear that only players like Caitlyn Clark have the power to take women's basketball to new heights, while others risk being left in the dust.
We've never seen anything like Caitlyn Clark. We've never seen the deep threes. We've never seen the behind the back. We've never seen the no look.
After setting the stage with his rim-lowering idea, Shaq delved deeper into what he believes is holding the WNBA back, a lack of explosive, game-changing moments that draw in viewers and fans.
A lot of players got the spotlight this season because of Caitlyn Clark, not to mention just overall Caitlyn Clark brought millions, literally, more eyeballs to the league this season.
According to Shaq, people tune in for the thrill of sports, high-flying dunks, buzzer beaters, and players pushing the limits of their abilities. He pointed out that in men's basketball, players have the freedom to showcase their athleticism in ways that captivate the audience.
It is scientifically proven that women do not have as much natural athleticism, strength, quickness as the men do, and that is okay.
By lowering the rims, he argued, the WNBA could bring in similar energy and make games more dynamic, with dunks and displays of skill that would make fans stop scrolling and start watching.
Caitlyn Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA.
This wasn't just criticism for the sake of it. Shaq knows what excites an audience, and he believes this change would be a game changer for the WNBA's viewership.
Who, by the way, I'm gonna go there, who happens to be white and brought a level of attention and allure to the sport it had not received before.
Angel Reese, however, wasn't buying it. She insisted that lowering the rims would diminish the respect that female athletes have worked hard to earn.
He says that the women need to lower the rim. Now, this has been a debate for many, many years.
In her view, the WNBA doesn't need gimmicks or alterations. It needs more respect from fans and media alike. But Shaq didn't let her comments slide without a reality check.
But they don't want it to grow if it's certain people at the face. And there is still this undertone of jealousy that for some reason I cannot get around calling it anything else but that, because I don't know what else it could be. I thought it was going to get better this season, but it hasn't. There are still people who seemingly, to me, feel like they just don't want Caitlyn to be a part of it.
He reminded her that respect isn't just given, it's earned, especially in sports, where entertainment and performance are king. Shaq bluntly pointed out that low ratings and lackluster attendance are telling a story that the league can't ignore. By resisting change, Reese was, in Shaq's view, holding the league back from its full potential. This wasn't just a clash of opinions, it was a battle over the future of the WNBA, with Shaq pushing for transformation and Reese clinging to the status quo.
Caitlyn Clark is just such a class act. She was incredible, breaking all types of records, and that's something she was certainly proud of. We saw lots of smiles on the court.
Caitlyn is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that?
What really put the conversation into overdrive was when Shaq pivoted to Caitlyn Clark. Without warning, he began singing Clark's praises, highlighting her as the kind of player who could draw crowds and transform the game single-handedly. He didn't mince words, calling her a shooter on par with Steph Curry and labeling her the truth.
Caitlyn Clark is becoming the best player, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact. She's been the driving force of the hottest team in the entire league, despite her record turnovers. Why? Because she's that good. She's legit good. She's colorblind good. She's guilt-free good. She's apolitically good.
This wasn't just a casual compliment, it was a stark comparison that positioned Clark as the ultimate role model for what the WNBA needs. An undeniable star with the skill, charisma, and crowd appeal to elevate the league. And he did it all with Angel Reese sitting across from him, a reminder that Clark's star power and game-changing stats are exactly what Reese and others should strive for if they want to be remembered as more than just players.
all you African American women have been to her is racist. You've been saying white girl, white bitch the entire year.
Listen, if people want to portray and paint the narrative that there are racial tensions in the WNBA as a result of Caitlyn Clark, I would say that's their own problem.
Shaq's endorsement of Clark went beyond skills and stats. It was a statement about leadership and dedication. He emphasized that Clark's work ethic, her relentless drive, and her focus on constantly improving are what set her apart. To Shaq, Clark's dedication to her craft is the difference between good and great, and he made it clear that if more players had that same fire, the WNBA would be unstoppable. Reese's reaction was telling. As Shaq lauded Clark's achievements, Reese looked increasingly uncomfortable, almost as if she knew she was being put on the spot. Shaq's message was clear.
Remember, there's been good players come out of college, but nobody really cared. We'd seen it. Nobody really cared.
Caitlyn Clark isn't just playing the game, she's elevating it. And if Reese and others aren't prepared to match that level, they'll simply be left behind, watching Clark take the league to new heights without them. Shaq wasn't done shaking things up. After praising Caitlyn Clark's impact, he delved into the stats that back up his claims. Clark's rookie season has been nothing short of groundbreaking. She's averaging an unheard of 40 points and 15 assists over 2 games, setting records that leave even veteran players in awe. Her ability to hit from the three-point line, often pulling up from logo range, is something Shaq highlighted as game-defining. This isn't just good shooting, it's an unmatched skill level that has fans, coaches, and analysts drawing comparisons to Steph Curry. In fact, Shaq made it clear that Clark's game has already eclipsed what the WNBA has seen in years, and she's doing it as a rookie. He emphasized that these jaw-dropping numbers aren't just about points, they're about setting a new standard, one that demands respect and pulls in viewers.
The WNBA tried to capitalize on her popularity and crammed a lot of games in over a short amount of time, playing against the best teams in the WNBA.
There is a lot of appropriate attention on Caitlyn Clark and the Indiana Fever, and we found out that the Fever Storm game from over the weekend drew 2.2 million viewers, which is massive. The WNBA has 18 games this season where they've had more than 1 million viewers average, and 16 of those 18 have featured Caitlyn Clark. So you cannot deny the connectivity of Caitlyn Clark playing basketball and people wanting to watch. If she's playing, they will come, they will watch the game.
To Shaq, this is the essence of what the WNBA needs. Players who push boundaries, who redefine expectations, and who don't rely on excuses. He pointed out that Clark isn't just adding to her personal stats, she's rewriting what's possible in women's basketball. Reese, on the other hand, seemed exposed in this comparison, with Shaq's words indirectly challenging her to rise to the level that Clark is setting. Shaq wrapped up this part of the conversation with a sobering statement. If players like Reese aren't willing to evolve, they'll be left in the dust while Caitlyn Clark leads the WNBA into a new era.
Problem is you have all of these players, Angel Reese, for example. You have Alyssa Thomas fueling the ideas of racial abuse by fans, but there's no real evidence of it. Brittany Griner speaking out against it. It's, the fans are calling us this, they're shouting these things. Did anybody hear any of these racial slurs happening or these racist actions by fans? The evidence wasn't there, so how are you going to talk about it if there's no evidence, right?
As we continue to support and celebrate the contributions of players like Clark, we contribute to a growing culture that values skill and determination, irrespective of gender. Thank you for joining us in this discussion. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more content that dives deep into the world of sports and highlights the voices that matter. What are your thoughts on Caitlyn Clark's journey and the challenges she faces? Let us know in the comments below.